The Purple Palace. The first stroke of royal amethyst covered the drab beige siding like a defiant bloom. Lily hummed along to the salsa music blasting from her portable speaker, the rhythm guiding her brush. Each upward sweep was a small act of rebellion, a visual shout of "This is my house." Across the perfectly manicured lawns, behind lace-curtained windows, Mrs. Higgins' nostrils flared. The purple was an assault, a personal affront. It screamed chaos in a world she meticulously curated to be orderly and predictable. She gripped her floral-patterned teacup so tightly her knuckles turned white. Lily, oblivious, continued her work. The sun warmed her back, the paint smelled sweetly chemical, and the color was glorious. It transformed the cookie-cutter house into something unique, something Lily. She imagined hanging flower baskets overflowing with petunias, their vibrant hues echoing the walls. By late afternoon, only the trim remained unfinished. Lily stepped back, wiping sweat from her brow with the back of her paint-splattered hand. The house glowed in the golden light, a beacon of individuality in a sea of conformity. A smile stretched across her face. It was perfect. A shadow fell across the lawn. Mrs. Higgins stood at the edge of Lily's property, arms crossed, her face a thundercloud. "I trust you've read the HOA guidelines regarding exterior paint colors, Ms. Rodriguez," she said, her voice tight with barely suppressed rage. Lily's smile faltered but didn't disappear. "I did," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "And I believe royal amethyst falls within the acceptable spectrum of lilac-adjacent hues." She winked. Mrs. Higgins' eyes narrowed. "We'll see about that," she hissed and turned on her heel, marching back toward her beige fortress. Lily sighed. The battle, it seemed, had only just begun. The beige decree. Agatha Higgins tapped her manicured nail against the pristine white desk. The rhythmic click echoed in the otherwise silent living room. A stark contrast to the riot of colors she secretly loathed blooming across Lily Rodriguez's house. "Unacceptable," she muttered, grabbing a sheet of embossed HOA letterhead. Her pen, a weighty gold thing, scratched across the paper with determined strokes. "Violation. Aesthetic harmony." Immediately rectify, she savored the officious language, the power it conveyed. Lily sighed, the humid Florida air clinging to her as she retrieved the mail. Bills, junk, and, oh no, a thick envelope, the dreaded HOA logo glaring up at her. Her heart sank. Tearing it open, she scanned the page. The words blurred, then sharpened into focus, the beige decree. Her house, a vibrant testament to her personality, a swirl of turquoise and coral, was now officially wrong. The letter, penned in imperious script, demanded a complete repaint in approved neutral tones within 30 days under penalty of escalating fines. A pamphlet of beige swatches fluttered out, desert sand, whispering wheat, oatmeal dream. Lily crumpled the letter in her fist. 30 days? But she was working on the mural for the community center, the one Mrs. Higgins had reluctantly approved. The audacity. This wasn't about harmony, it was about control. A wave of frustration washed over her, quickly followed by a spark of defiance. Beige? Not on her watch. Coding chaos. Lily's fingers flew across the keyboard, a frantic ballet of keystrokes illuminated by the harsh glow of the monitor. Lines of code scrolled past, a digital waterfall she desperately tried to navigate. The deadline loomed, a monstrous wave about to crash over her head, and the HOA violation notice sat crumpled beside her keyboard, a paperweight of anxiety. Mrs. Higgins' pristine white fence had become Lily's personal Everest. She paused, took a deep breath, and opened a new email. "Dear Mrs. Higgins," she typed, forcing a pleasant tone. "I received your notice regarding the fence. As you know, I work from home, and my current project requires intense focus to meet a critical deadline. I plan to address the fence issue as soon as I possibly can, likely next weekend. I appreciate your understanding." She hesitated, then added, "Sincerely, Lily Rodriguez." Hitting send felt like releasing a tiny, fragile bird into a hurricane. Across town, Agatha Higgins sat in her meticulously organized living room, sunlight glinting off the crystal figurines on her mantelpiece. She clicked open the email with a dismissive sniff. "Appreciates my understanding," she muttered, the words dripping with sarcasm. The corners of her mouth tightened as she scanned Lily's message. "Intense focus?" Agatha snorted. "More like intense laziness. Next weekend? Unacceptable." The fence was an eyesore, a blatant disregard for community standards. Agatha's fingers drummed on the polished surface of her desk, and her eyes narrowed. Lily Rodriguez would learn that Agatha Higgins' understanding was a privilege, not a right. The house code heist. Lily glared at the email notification. Subject, urgent. House code required immediately. She deleted it without opening. Agatha Higgins could wait. Lily's architecture presentation, due tomorrow, couldn't. Models of the proposed community center littered the dining table, casting long shadows in the afternoon light. A pounding rattled the door. Lily Rodriguez. Open up. I know you're in there. Mrs. Higgins' voice, sharp as shattered glass, sliced through Lily's concentration. Just a minute. Lily shouted, her voice tight with frustration. She muted her video conference, the faces of her team frozen mid-sentence. She yanked open the door. Mrs. Higgins stood there, arms crossed, a sneer twisting her lips. I emailed you. The HOA requires your house code. Now. I'm in a meeting, Mrs. Higgins. And I explained in my email why I'm not comfortable giving it out, Lily said, trying to keep her voice level. Excuses. I'm the HOA president and I need that code for emergencies. Emergencies like watering my petunias while I'm at work? Lily shot back, instantly regretting her sarcasm. Mrs. Higgins' face flushed crimson. That's it. I'm reporting this blatant violation to the board. Obstruction. Non-compliance. You'll be hearing from our lawyer, young lady. She turned on her heel, her sensible shoes clicking aggressively on the walkway. Fine. Lily yelled after her, slamming the door. Report away. You're not getting the code. The wood vibrated in its frame. She leaned against it, the scent of sawdust and hot glue suddenly cloying. This wasn't just about petunias anymore. This was war. Police intervention. The incessant drilling from upstairs vibrated through Lily's teeth. Focus, she told herself, zooming in on a rendering of the community center proposal. Mrs. Higgins' reign of terror wouldn't last forever. The shrill ring of the doorbell sliced through the already frayed atmosphere. Lily ignored it, hoping whoever it was would go away. Another ring, more insistent this time. Then a pounding. Lily Rodriguez. Open this door. I know you're in there. Mrs. Higgins' voice, amplified by fury, echoed through the hallway. Lily sighed, pinching the bridge of her nose. This was it. A muffled conversation, then silence. Lily returned to her presentation, adding a detail to the building's facade. Suddenly, a new, deeper voice boomed. Police! Open up! Lily's heart leaped into her throat. She opened the door to find two officers standing behind Mrs. Higgins, who wore a smug expression. This woman, Mrs. Higgins declared, pointing a manicured finger, is in violation of numerous HOA regulations and refuses to provide me, as president, with the entry code for her property. One officer, a young woman with kind eyes, turned to Lily. Ma'am, is there a problem here? Just a misunderstanding, Lily replied, forcing a smile. Mrs. Higgins seems to think I'm obligated to give her my house code. I'm not. The officer raised an eyebrow at Mrs. Higgins. This sounds like a civil matter, ma'am. We can't force her to provide a code. It's her property. Mrs. Higgins' face contorted. But the regulations. The safety of the community. The officer sighed, a barely audible sound. HOA regulations aren't laws, ma'am. We have no jurisdiction here. Turning back to Lily, she offered a sympathetic smile. Have a good evening, Ma. Beige betrayal. Agatha Higgins tapped her manicured nails on the faux granite countertop, a sound Lily could hear even through her noise-canceling headphones. So, you're sure you can start today? She asked, her voice syrupy sweet, but with an undercurrent of steel. Yes, ma'am, the foreman said, adjusting his baseball cap. Crew's ready. We got the seashell beige you wanted. Excellent. Agatha beamed, already envisioning the Rodriguez house blending seamlessly into the neighborhood's carefully curated monotony. Just commence. Inside, Lily wrestled with the proposal, the numbers swimming before her eyes. She was so close to landing this client, a victory that would finally give her some breathing room. The incessant demands of Mrs. Higgins had already cost her hours of productivity. A rhythmic thudding started outside, barely audible at first, then growing steadily louder. She frowned, trying to ignore it. The doorbell chimed, a jarring sound that cut through her concentration. Sighing, Lily yanked off her headphones and went to the door. Two men in paint-splattered overalls stood on her porch, rollers in hand. Mrs. Rodriguez? One asked. We're here to paint. Paint what? Lily asked, bewildered. Your house, ma'am. Exterior. Seashell beige? Mrs. Higgins hired us. He gestured towards Agatha's house, where the older woman stood on her porch, arms crossed, a smug look on her face. A knot formed in Lily's stomach. This wasn't just meddling, it was a full-blown assault. The bill and the beige. Lily blinked, convinced she'd woken up in the wrong house. The morning sun, usually glinting off her cheerful, sunflower yellow exterior, now reflected back a dull, lifeless beige. It was the color of dust bunnies and forgotten oatmeal. She stumbled down the porch steps that would strangely rough under her bare feet and circled the house, a growing knot of disbelief tightening in her stomach. Beige. Every clapboard, every trim piece, even the cheerful window boxes she'd painstakingly filled with petunias, all swallowed by the insipid hue. The vibrant front door, a bold teal she'd chosen specifically to clash delightfully with the yellow, was now a matching, muted beige. It was as if her house had been bleached of all personality. Taped squarely to the newly beige door was a crisp, official-looking envelope. Lily snatched it, her fingers trembling. The return address was a local painting company she'd never heard of. Inside, a single sheet of paper detailed the exterior repaint of her residence. The final line hit her like a punch to the gut. $8,750. 00 due upon receipt. Lily slumped against the beige siding, the bill fluttering to the ground. $8,750. For this beige monstrosity. Agatha had done it. She had actually done it. The air rushed from Lily's lungs, leaving her feeling hollow and defeated. The fight had been draining her for weeks, but this felt like the final nail. How was she supposed to fight a beige house? A lawyer's insight. Lily paced Maya's sun-drenched office, the scent of jasmine from the balcony garden doing little to calm her frayed nerves. Agatha Higgins is painting my house. Against my will. With HOA funds, probably. Maya, perched on the edge of her mahogany desk, raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow. Painting? Like, literally painting? Literally. I came home to find a crew slathering beige all over my carefully chosen teal. Apparently, it's a violation to have a non-approved color. Lily slumped into the leather chair. I feel like I'm living in some bizarre, suburban dictatorship. Maya swiveled to her computer, fingers flying across the keyboard. Let's see what kind of iron fist our Mrs. Higgins wields. She accessed the HOA's publicly filed documents, scrolling through bylaws and meeting minutes with practiced ease. After a few minutes of focused clicking, Maya paused, her brow furrowing. Something's off. She pulled up a spreadsheet buried deep within the financial reports. Lily, look at this. The landscaping budget is triple what it should be, and there are multiple invoices for questionable services. Consulting fees paid to an offshore account in the Caymans? This isn't just overzealous rule following, this is fraud. The blood drained from Lily's face. So, she's not just a control freak. She's a criminal. Maya leaned back, a grim satisfaction in her eyes. Looks that way? And painting your house? Probably just a petty power play funded by stolen money. We've got her, Lily. We've really got her. Rainbow revenge. The air in the community hall crackled with anticipation. Lily gripped Maya's hand, her own slick with sweat. Mrs. Higgins, perched regally at the head table, surveyed the room with a self-satisfied smirk. Now let's move on to the matter of landscaping violations, she announced, adjusting her pearls. Maya squeezed Lily's hand in return. Ready? As I'll ever be. Lily stood. Excuse me, Mrs. Higgins, but before we move on, I have some evidence I think the board should see. She nodded to Maya, who plugged a USB drive into the projector. Up flashed Mrs. Higgins' email, the one where she confessed to deliberately misinterpreting Lily's building permit. Then came the doctored photos of Lily's supposedly overgrown garden, followed by copies of checks from other homeowners, all marked landscaping fine, Higgins Fund. A collective gasp rippled through the room. Mrs. Higgins' face, usually a mask of composed disdain, crumpled like a discarded newspaper. Murmurs erupted. Embezzlement. Fraud. Sheriff Thompson, who'd conveniently appeared at the back of the hall, stepped forward. Agatha Higgins, he announced, his voice booming, you're under arrest for fraud and misuse of HOA funds. As deputies led a sputtering Mrs. Higgins away, Lily felt a weight lift. The HOA meeting dissolved into chaos, a cacophony of accusations and demands for audits. Lily and Maya slipped out, the fresh air feeling cleaner than it had in weeks. The next morning, Lily stood before her house, a mischievous glint in her eye. Armed with buckets of vibrant paint, she began to transform her beige abode. A riot of color bloomed across the siding. Sunshine yellow, ocean blue, forest green, fiery orange, passionate purple. Each stroke was an act of defiance, a celebration of individuality. By sunset, Lily's house stood as a beacon of joyous rebellion, a rainbow middle finger to conformity.